Tensions between protesters and police started earlier in the day as close to 2,000 demonstrators marched toward Lake Merritt. KTVU's John Sasaki was there as protesters began their march and then as the confrontations began.
It's already occupied.
The Occupy demonstration in downtown Oakland started peacefully enough.
Talking about class is said to be divisive.
But then the protesters hit the road east through the city.
We did hear early on that this group is heading over to the Kaiser Convention Center to actually occupy that now shuttered building, and that is currently the direction we're heading.
This man stopped along the way to enjoy the view of a line of police in riot gear.
Lovely day, ate it.
But minutes later, the face-off began outside the Kaiser Center, where protesters tore down fencing and were met with force from police. That attempt was thwarted.
We live in a police state. That's what I think of that. I think there should be a revolution in this country.
Then Oak Street turned into a virtual war zone. Protesters tried to get close to the police line, but were pushed back forcefully.
Officers took it upon themselves to tear gas and use rubber grenades and beanbag rifles on peaceful protesters. As you can see here with my face, I just got shot with a beanbag.
Not all the protesters were peaceful. We watched as some threw bottles, rocks, and other projectiles at police. Officers then chased them down.
We're in the second hour of a tense standoff between police and the protesters. We've already been tear gassed, and now we're watching one arrest after another. Sir, what happened?
Y'all saw it on the cameras. You'll see it on the cameras every day.
We've already given the announcement to failure to disperse, and people that are still hanging out here are arrestable. If we see people that are throwing objects at police, we're going to move in if we can, if it's safe to do so, and arrest them.
By 5 p.m., 19 people had been arrested and 3 officers had suffered minor injuries, and that was all before dark. In Oakland, I'm John Sasaki, KTVU, Channel 2 News.
Mourners in Connecticut today held the first 2 funerals for victims in last Friday's shooting rampage. Our John Sasaki has been in Newtown since late Friday night. He's there live now at the site of a memorial, John, that continues to grow.
I got to tell you first that right behind me are some Sandy Hook firefighters who are getting some hugs, handshakes, and a great deal of gratitude from the folks here at the memorial. Now, this memorial here at the bottom of the Sandy Hook Christmas tree continues to serve as the spot where mourners are gathering en masse. It has grown tenfold since yesterday with flowers, stuffed animals, origami cranes, and lots of signs. As the public mourns here, a funeral home across town was the site of one of the first 2 memorial services for children killed 3 days ago. Hundreds of people, including a young wrestling team, came together at the Honan Funeral Home in Newtown to say goodbye to 6-year-old Jack Pinto. The media was not allowed inside, but outside, the grief was clear.
It was just sad. It was very sad. It was a short service, real short.
Pastor Gwendolyn Glover attended the service and said Jack, who loved wrestling, skiing, and football, was buried in the jersey of his favorite New York Giants football player, Victor Cruz.
We will take good care of that and get that to the services for you. I pass our condolences on.
Flowers are in heavy demand this week for funerals and the many memorials that have popped up around town. This is Alice's florist in nearby Bethel.
You love to be able to help people at a time like this. I always feel that the flowers do comfort people, but this is just so overwhelming, and it's one of those things that, you know, you read about and it's not going to happen here.
The owner told me the Connecticut Florists Association has kicked into high gear to help out in any way it can. In the city of Monroe is Chalk Hill Middle School, which has been closed down for 2 years. It's going to serve as the temporary home for Sandy Hook Elementary when those kids go back to class. And today, one moving truck after another brought in furniture and supplies from Sandy Hook.
I think it's great for the kids, you know. They need to go somewhere, and this is close for them. It's great.
Lou DeLallo lives across the street, and his 3 daughters who attended Chalk Hill made a sign welcoming their new neighbors.
They went to Home Depot and told them what they were doing. They gave them all the material free.
Back live, we're joined by a couple of the Sandy Hook volunteer firefighters. You're all volunteers here.
All volunteer departments.
And obviously, you've been through hell and back. When you take a look here at this memorial, what do you think? What does this all say to you?
This is just a beautiful outpouring of love from probably around the world, you know, if not around the country. And this whole memorial was actually started by a fire department in Texas. Called us up. We have a annual Christmas tree fundraiser that we sell Christmas trees, and they must have caught wind of it from the media coverage. And a woman called us up and wanted to buy 2 trees and have us put them out as a symbol and as something for kids to come decorate for Christmas. And you can see what it's turned into.
Did you ever imagine it would get this big?
Not at all. We had trouble trying to find one person to start it off. And,
all right, Mike Burt, you're a volunteer firefighter. Thank you so much. Thank you for your service. That is the very latest here in Sandy Hook in Newtown, Connecticut. I'm John Sasaki, KTVU Channel 2 News.
When a dog was spotted dangling from the back of a pickup truck speeding down the freeway, a Pinole woman and her teenage son took action. New at 6, KTVU's John Sasaki live from Vallejo, where that dog is now recovering. John?
Frank, this is Freeway the dog, but given all that he's gone through, his name could easily be Lucky or Miracle.
Do you remember our voices?
It was a joyful reunion in Vallejo this afternoon. Mother and son met the dog they saved from a horrifying and lonely death on Highway 780.
It's terrible. It's heartbreaking, you know. See a dog almost die.
Last Thursday morning, Angela Porter and her 13-year-old son River were driving east from I-80 when they saw something flapping off the side of a fast-moving pickup truck.
And I got closer and noticed it was a dog. And so I just started laying on my horn and trying to catch up to him.
They tried desperately to get the truck to stop while the dog must have been terrified.
So he was probably losing his breath and fighting for his dear life, you know, banging on the side of the truck and not knowing what was going to happen next.
The truck exited at Glen Cove, and that's where the dog's rope snapped.
And the dog broke free, and he flipped and smacked against the side of the freeway. And the guy just kept going.
What was the look in that dog's face when you first got there?
Scared and hopeless. Thought he was probably going to die.
Animal Control picked up the dog, now named Freeway, and took him to All Creatures Veterinary Hospital. The doctor found a bad break in his right hind leg, which had to be amputated. But that's all.
No internal injuries, no rib fractures. I mean, nothing else going on with him. I think his age really helped him a lot.
Also today, the Humane Society dropped off donation cans at the school where River Porter's a student and his mother works. A new owner for Freeway has yet to be found. Live in Vallejo, I'm John Sasaki, KTVU, Channel 2 News.